For my second point, I really want to focus on the words that we're using. Words matter, especially to people who are not familiar with archives or archivists. And so I want us to reflect on the words that we use daily for our work and how we describe it, and try and think about how we can avoid those words and the connotations behind them and start crafting a more inviting and generalist language to convey what we're doing to the non-archivist audience. And so with the first one there, thinking about archives and archivists, I myself did not learn what an archives was until I was 20 years old, which is actually on the younger side for many people. And I know that everybody, as collection workers, they have definitely run into that before in terms of like, somebody asks you what you do and you say you're an archivist, and they're like, okay, what is that? Or they think you said anarchist, or like several other hilarious stories, which is why SAA and many archivists have tried to work on their elevator pitch and basically trying to come up with like a two-sentence, this is what an archivist is and what an archivist does, because not a lot of people are aware of it. So think about that elevator pitch if you don't already have one. SAA does have some resources on that if you go to the Committee on Public Awareness's resource page. So I do want you to spend some time working on your elevator pitch. And then I next want us to think about the words that we use to describe our collections, of which special collections is usually used, or rare materials, rare collections, one of a kind, unique, original, all of those types of words. They are important, but when we use those words solely, it really dissuades the users, again, that are new to archives and they may not have that quote unquote serious business to do. And if they're thinking that these materials are special or rare, that communicates to them that it's not for them to use, that they themselves are not special enough, or their interest or curiosity is not important enough to have access to those materials. And in so many cases, that is not true, and that is not the message we want to be sending. Again, for archives, we want our collections to be used. That is why we exist. And so we need to start shifting away from that special, we're unicorn, these are rare materials language. The next words I want us to think about are about our spaces and our collections being closed or restricted. Now, for legal reasons, these are words that are sometimes necessary and convey some important information. However, if they're the only words that we are using, this again sends a message that this is not for you. These are restricted, serious business only. And so if you do have collections like that, those do exist, but if you have collections that aren't closed and don't have restrictions, make sure that you are promoting that at least equally so that people are aware that there are at least some collections in there that they could engage with that don't have those restrictions. And then I want us to think about the phrase primary sources. Again, this is a professional lingo. It is accurate to describe our work and our collections, but it doesn't mean anything to the new to archives user. And if we're using language that means nothing to the new user, this again sends like an exclusivity message that the archives is not a space for you because I am using language that you don't understand. And then the phrase appointment only. I know for logistical reasons, for many of us, appointment only is important because that's how we work. But if you're using that languaging, I encourage you to add some other language around it that is actively encouraging people to make that appointment, that they don't have to have serious business to make an appointment, that appointments can be for learning more about the collections, for taking a tour of the collections, that type of thing. So if you're using these words, they do have a job to do, but make sure you are balancing it with words that are welcoming and inviting, and in general language, instructing people how they can contact and engage with your collections.